what your results are or what you want your results to be if you're still in that implementation process. We'll talk about different ways that can look at the final showcase, and then we'll look at what we're going to do in meeting 4. So that's kind of the plan for the day. Dakota, Keitha, you guys want to add anything? All
I
right.
think
So
we're good.
good, just to kick us off, if you will just think for a minute and open up your chat box, and I'll get Keith and Dakota to kind of help me here. And I'm going to kind of start out. So one of my favorite new Christmas songs right now is Wrapped in Red by Kelly Clarkson. And so I'm just going to pop that in the chat box. So just think about a Christmas song that you like or you enjoy, um, and put that in the chat box, and we'll kind of read some of them as they come through. That is a great one, Karen. Dakota also just put the slide deck in there, so you have that. I didn't know being whammed was a thing until I had a friend come over the other day and I was playing the Last Christmas song. And he's like, dang, I made it to December the 9th before I got whammed. Dakota, did you know that was a thing?
That's news
Yeah.
to me as well.
So obviously it's a thing. It's like how long you can make it before you've heard Last Christmas is a thing. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. That is great. Love the classics like The Temptations, Whitney Houston, Silver Bells, I'll Be Home for Christmas. I don't know the Present by Forrest Frank. I don't know that one.
Hey, you
Dakota,
can't beat the piano of the gift by Jim Brickman.
I know you love Jim Brickman. You went to see him. Mhm. I also love George Winston and his December album. That's one I always listen to. Of course, Mariah Carey. Yep, got to listen to that.
Katie, I love the Hanson Snowed In album. One of my favorites.
I've never heard the Hanson Snowed In album. That's awesome. All right, well, keep doing those if you want to. And while you're doing that, I will just let you unmic. If you have any specific questions, I know a lot of you've been working with your culture data and your survey. We've tried to troubleshoot that as much as possible so that you can calculate standard deviations and means. But let's just take a few minutes if you have a specific question about data. And remember, it doesn't have to be that culture survey. It can be any Cognia data, any other school improvement data or strategic planning data, any kind of data that you've collected around culture. You can use that. If you're able to calculate standard deviation and mean, that's even better. But if you can't, you can still make educated decisions based on the data. So if you're comfortable just taking yourself off mute and asking that question, feel free to do that. If you want to put it in the chat box instead of, or if you don't have a microphone, you can do that as well. So I'm just going to be quiet for a few seconds and see if we have any questions or anything that you need about the data piece. I do love Mary, Did You Know?
Mm-hmm. I have a funny story while they're thinking about Lisa Wheatley's Christmas in Dixie. My daughter was 5 one year, and we were at a gym meet in Montgomery. Alabama was playing on the steps for the lighting of the Christmas tree, and they were singing Christmas in Dixie. And my 5-year-old turned and said, Mom, why are they singing Merry Christmas, Win Dixie?
Oh my gosh.
So I can't hear that song without thinking Win Dixie now.
I know. And you and I have talked about Hard Candy Christmas by Dolly. I love that. And I'll be home for Christmas. All right, I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds. Any data questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat box, and I haven't heard any. All right, well, if something does come up, put it in the chat box, and we'll try to address that. So if you look at our next point, the implementation plan, we are going to do some quick breakouts. But before we do that, I want you to think about what are you thinking about sharing at that learning showcase at the final meeting? And ideally, you would have some data. It's not a must, but if you do have some data, that's good. You should have a plan on, what you want to do, what part of culture are you trying to address, anything that you've done about transferring the learning to colleagues, to PLCs, to small groups, grade levels, one person, either what you have done or what you plan on doing. And then also, if you've gotten any results, what are they? Or if you haven't gotten any results yet, what results do you hope you'll get? So that's, you may want to jot those down on a piece of paper or take a picture with your phone of the screen, because when we go in the breakouts, you'll have about 5 minutes. So each person will have 1 or 2 minutes to talk about how you're using this learning or how you plan to use this learning. And we'll just share that in a breakout. And then Dakota's going to put us in random breakouts. You'll have a timer, just kind of to keep an eye on that for about 5 minutes and just talk to each other about either what you are doing or what you plan to do. We've got some other bullets here. You can plan on actually having a slide deck, a trifold, fold out, just a handout, a video. People have done all kinds of different things, and we can talk more about that when we come back. But Dakota, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you have any questions or if you have things you don't understand about what you're going to do in the breakout room, you can put that in the chat box or unmute yourself before Dakota moves us to groups.
All right. Don't hear any questions or see any questions, so I'm gonna throw y'all out into cyberspace and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. If anyone's having trouble getting into their breakout room, just let me know.
I know we do have some large groups that are sharing a device. They can all just kind of be in a room together. They're really going out slowly, aren't they?
Mhm.
Oh, Keith, I just declined Dakota's invitation so we could all
Okay.
stay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
Thanks for that.
forgot.
Thank you, Dakota.
Yeah.
I
I
figured it
forget
was just
they
a random.
I figured
yeah.
that made it easier for you to do it that way.
Yeah, I figured it was like a gunshot.
Yeah. They changed the way you do breakouts. I haven't seen it yet, so there was an extra step
I
that I
love
forgot to
when,
take.
Zoom updates more than most things I know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else that did not join a breakout room? Is there anything we can help you with, or did you have any specific questions? Looks like Miss Smith is still connecting to audio.
So when you sent them to their breakout room, Dakota, were there directions there or just
Um, just what they heard here.
okay.
You can copy, if you can broadcast, if you want to copy just
The
the
link to
data
the
plan
slide deck.
transfer of learning and results. Yeah, if you want to, you can just that piece. You don't have to.
So I'm learning the facilitation aspect of this. So where down at the bottom do you go to put them in breakout rooms?
Uh, Give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right. Wait, they can copy that.
And Keitha, you may not, I'm not sure Dakota's shared hosting with you, but when he gets this done, he can talk to you about it. But it used to be under participants.
The breakouts are now, depending on your toolbar, usually they're under more.
The dots.
mhm. And then you click that. And then once you click into it, it usually pins it to your toolbar for the rest of the meeting.
So join breakout room. No, that would be putting me
Yeah,
where you
Well,
put.
right.
that's what's there now since we're
Mhm.
in breakout rooms, but it'll be
Okay,
different.
all right.
Not already in them.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay,
make I'm gonna make you co-host when we jump off. I'll walk you through it. I'll share my screen and
okay,
show you how to do it.
okay.
Um, let's see. We got about 1 more minute left, so
Great.
I don't think we'll have trouble getting out by 12, Tony.
I don't think so. And that's kind of my plan. We don't even have 40, do we?
No, no, no,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. Well, I'm like Keitha. We were talking on the way over here. We were texting. I'm surprised we had that many.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just being the last week, and there
Yeah.
are exams, and yeah.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
it's
I
completely
see.
optional.
I see where it was. Now that you did the co-host, it said breakout rooms, more 37 participants. Did you put them in, or is there something you just put that said scattered?
I'll show you when we get off
Okay.
the
All right.
call. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
There's a few different ways you can do it.
Okay.
Um, all
And we
right.
we learned very on there, early on, there are easy ways to do it, and there are very difficult ways to do it.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. We'll be back in 30 seconds or less.
Awesome. I'm not going to really ask for a report out, but I'm going to ask if any questions or comments came from their Brett work, from their breakouts.
Cool. All right. Everybody should be back.
Dang it.
All right. Looks like everyone is coming back. Thank you all so much. I don't know if you had enough time or too much time. It's always tricky. It depends on who's in your room. So let me give you a minute. I'm not asking you to report out, but if you had a question or comment or thought or something really neat that you want to share that came up in your breakout rooms, I'd love to hear that just for a few minutes. Hey, Wes, how are you? Wes, we could do what
I am
we could do
so
what
grand today.
you're so what?
Grand?
Grand, good. I think we're going to start doing what we did in Auburn. Like we can get people to tell what they heard other people say. I like that. Volunteering other people.
I would like to volunteer M West from my group.
Okay, well, let's see if that works on Zoom. May have to do it louder.
That was kind of a joke because they never talked or turned their camera on.
Well, did y'all have a good breakout? Did y'all talk about your plans?
Yes, we did. Auburn Early Ed has a grand plan. They had a
Okay.
great plan.
Anybody want to share that with us? I'd love to hear it.
Jennifer Bailey would.
Hello. Thank you, Wes.
Hey, Jennifer, don't you love him?
I do. I do. So we had just kind of talked about doing a one pager on Canva. And this year we're going through strategic planning and we created a new mission statement for our school. And we were going to start by putting that at the top. And then starting with like the positives about our school, we were going to ask a teacher, a resource teacher, and a parent what they love about Auburn Early Ed. And we were going to include what they said at the top. And then underneath that, put our action plan in there with our areas for growth. And our areas for growth tie in nicely with areas in our strategic plan that we can put as goals and action steps.
Awesome. I
And I
love
even
that.
like mocked up, we did like a mock drawing of what our
Yay.
campus going to look like. So
That is great. And I think, when you're able to tie that to school culture, when you talk to people at the showcase, I think that's going to be very helpful. But all of those pieces really are important for culture. So thank you so much for sharing.
you're so welcome. Thank you, Wes, for volunteering me.
Hey, that strategy works so well at Auburn. We've started using it everywhere. So,
I have been
any,
working with a school, Stony, that they're taking the trifold to another level. They're actually calling it a picture story. So they're starting off with pictures of culture from around their school, what their data says with pictures, and then they're adding a video at the end of their students and their teachers discussing things they've done this year that have changed outlooks.
awesome. Anyone else? Questions, thoughts, anything you heard in the breakout about the implementation plan and the learning showcase? One of the things that we do try to do is Dakota will want you to share with him some artifact from your showcase. We like to make that accessible to everybody in the network so people can see what each other's doing, but also that's our way of documenting for the PLU and the HQPL. Dakota, do you want to say anything about that, or have I covered that okay?
Um, yeah, if you just want to bring a copy of it, if you're doing a one pager like Auburn is, if you just want to give me a copy at the final meeting, that works. Or if you're doing a slide deck and you just want to share that link, you can do that as well. And if yours is more of a trifold board, I'll just go around and just take a picture of that. And it's just so that way we have documentation for the PLU and clock hours and recertification office. But I did drop in a link to some learning showcase examples from previous years. So these are mostly slide decks because those are the easiest to share on our website. But if you wanted to look into what other people have done and what those slide decks look like and how they've formatted them, you can access that link in the chat box.
And just remember, if y'all need any help, any brainstorming, I'm available by phone, by email, by Zoom, whatever you needed help with. If many of you have been to Jacksonville State's reverse career fair in the past, where the student interns graduating set up booths and they're kind of advertising themselves, those are also actually really good examples of what you possibly could do.
Thank you, Keitha. Anyone, what other questions or thoughts or clarifications do you need before we leave that bullet?
Go ahead.
Hi, I have a quick question, just clarifying about the expectations of the Learning Showcase. Is there like, I don't know, I remember us talking about it in our first face-to-face meeting, which I guess was meeting 2. But we were trying to figure out if there were some details or some more guidance you can provide for us.
Like the assignment.
Hey, yeah. Well, Dakota has shared the kind of the exemplars. I think what we covered in the face-to-face on that slide, and there's a little bit more on that last slide from our last meeting, but really kind of if you go back up to this implementation plan bullet, the idea is hopefully you have some data that you based your decision on, what are we going to implement? So hopefully you have data. Again, if you don't, that's not a deal breaker, but if you do have it and you were able to look at standard deviations and mean and select like 2 things to work on, that's the ideal. But again, not everybody's in a situation where they can do that, and we understand that.
Well, we were in that Mountain Brook session,
Yes.
Mountain Brook Elementary School, where I feel like we had to end a little early, and I don't know if we hit all of the, and we can go back to those presentation notes, but
Yeah, no, we really, Dakota will send out some more information later, but it's not meant to be a big scary thing. It's really just you guys figure out however you want to share what you've done with the learning. That's all this is about.
And I kind of walked through, where did we come in this year? What were our thoughts? What was our new learning? What did we do with our new learning? And what's our result right now? Is it something that wasn't positive yet, but we're continuing to work on that? Or, hey, we've reached success in this area. So I kind of think of it also like a science fair. You've got your theory, you've got your action, and you've got your results.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you for the question. And again, once we send out more information after Christmas, if you still feel like you have questions, contact Keitha, me, Dakota, any of us, if you have something you want us to look at. But this really is not meant to be a high stress. Now, some districts they go all out and they decorate their table and they, put on like all this stuff and it's great. Basically, we want you to show us what you did with the learning and hopefully how it got to the student level and what kind of impact it is having on teachers and students. That's the ultimate goal. Again, I know all situations are different, contexts are different. Some of you are working on strategic plans, some of you are working on reaccreditations. It's all very different. So
Yeah. And I love the way Dr. Wilson just worded it. This feels like an action research mini conference idea share session. Absolutely. It's just, hey, here's what we've done, here's what we've learned. And it's just an opportunity to network and share ideas and successes and even failures, because failures are not bad as long as we do something with that.
all right, I'm looking. It is, yeah, Dr. Will, it is kind of like, I was reluctant to call it an action research project because I didn't want people to feel like it was that big, but ideally, yes. And as Dakota said, bonus points for anyone in costume, that's for sure.
Yeah, because Wes said, or is anyone else thinking costumes? Absolutely, Wes.
Yes. All right. Well, any other questions? Because that's really the point of the day, is for you to feel like you feel comfortable about all this and you're not leaving with questions. That was the whole point of our office hours today. All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat box. Dakota, Keith, if something pops up, stop me. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do some reminders about meeting 4, because I do know that we did have to end that Mount Brook session a little early, and then some people had to leave early at some of our other sessions. So just a reminder, we will kind of focus more on chapters 10 through 14 for the final meeting. We will talk about building a culture leadership team and the importance of that, and kind of using that as a subculture that will then become, something that has an impact on climate and culture. We'll look at, from a couple of the chapters, things we didn't get to this last time, like the purpose of education, the elements of organizational culture, and the Who Owns It survey. So that's kind of the content of the morning for our last face-to-face meeting. And then after lunch, you'll have time to set up and prepare, again, any questions you have. And then after lunch, we'll do the learning showcase. You will have time to set up and get ready. Then we will have 3 15-minute rounds where you get to choose a station and stay there, listen to their presentation, ask questions, talk about it. If a group finishes early, you can move to somewhere else if you want to, but we kind of keep those. We want people to have designated time. If they have a team, everybody can talk about it. So you get 15 minutes. Then we'll do 3 rotations, 3 15-minute rotations, and then we'll have a 15-minute just open, so you can just walk around and make sure you get to see everything and ask questions that way. So kind of 3 that are solid canned presentations. You'll need 1 person to stay with your table and present. And then if you have other team members, they can rotate. We don't want 1 person getting stuck there the whole time. We want everybody to have a chance to rotate and see other projects. So that much being covered, what questions are there? And then Nikki, we have dates for session 4. Dakota can put a link in where you can see all the different networks and those meeting dates and locations, right, Dakota?
Yes, that is correct.
So he will pop that in the chat box just a minute, but those dates and locations for the most part have been set. There's the link. Look at it. If you still have questions, let us know. Other questions about meeting 4?
And once again, guys, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need a brainstorm partner or have any other additional questions.
Thank you, Keith. The same for me and Dakota. And then the last thing I want to share before we log off today, in our last meeting, our face-to-face meeting, we also want to give you a survey and give you an opportunity to provide input about your needs for the coming year. We are looking at Jim Knight and Brian Goodwin have a brand new book that will be coming out. It's going to be the ASCD book of, I think, September. We are working with them now. Keith and I are going to Kansas in February to do a training with them on the new classroom instruction that works, building kind of a playbook for coaching. It's going to be about those 14-based strategies. It's all about scientifically based research strategies. It's about first best instruction, best first instruction. It's like it's Keitha posted today. You can't dig yourself out of tier 2 with bad tier 1 kind of instruction. So that first instruction, we want it to be the best it can be with the research that shows us what works with kids. And so that's kind of what we're thinking about for next year. We will also give you an opportunity if your school or district will want to have a team next year, which I hope all of you will be back with us. We're going to do kind of a sign up at the beginning, which will have a very large discount. We're still kind of figuring all that out, but we're thinking about if we get early commitments, we'll be able to give significant discounts for that instead of having to work so hard trying to recruit and get people on board over the summer. So we'll give you more information about that in the last session, but I just wanted you to go ahead and be thinking about and maybe talking to your people about the benefits of making that decision a little bit earlier, getting that in budgets for next year, all those kinds of things that we know we have to do.
Yeah.
So all
And
of
it
that.
does tie in, Stoney, I know several are still working on Marzano's high reliability schools. And just remember that does tie into two different levels that I can immediately think of. And congratulations to Oxford City for getting their level 1 at one of their schools. I think maybe the high school.
Awesome. That is great. I know a lot of people are working on the Marzano certification. That's why we're still kind of working in that vein. What other questions do you have, comments, or thoughts before we sign off today? I just want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I hope this was helpful. We were able to answer some questions and get you feeling a little more comfortable about what we will be doing once we come back from Christmas. I want to tell you, I know you guys have worked so hard this semester, so I hope you can find some time for yourself and your family and your friends, get some downtime, get some rest, regenerate, get ready for second semester because we know how that goes. Enjoy the time that you have, and we look very forward to seeing you and learning about your learning in the fourth meeting. Dakota, Keitha, do you have anything to close out?
Congratulations. Christy Watkins just put Jasper City as level 1 and 2 certified. So yay, that's awesome.
That is great.
I'll just say Merry Christmas to everybody. Enjoy the time off. And I will be in touch when we get back after the new year with all of the details and everything you need to know about that fourth meeting.
Awesome. Great to see you all. Thank you again. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your break. Bye-bye.